Hello, gentle friends. Welcome back to the Wild Woody podcast. Sorry, I forgot the word. This is episode 5, I believe, and it is a book week. Although I'm a little off schedule. I was technically supposed to podcast 2 weeks ago. Today would be the 3rd week. And so, yeah, I've been a little slacking. But, anyways, we're going to move on. So, today, like I said, it's a book week, and so we are going to be reviewing Nevernight by Kristoff. Now, hopefully this review will convince you to go read this book. So, the first half will be non-spoilers, that way you can go read it, and then the last half of the podcast, or like the last third, I'm going to talk about spoilers, okay? So, this book is so freaking good. It's the first of a trilogy. I just finished reading the second book called God's Grave, and then I'm about to go get the third book today to start reading. And this freaking book, it was on my to-read list for probably 4 to 5 years, and I don't know why, but I was like too lazy to order the book, and most bookstores never had it in stock. So then when I wouldn't see it in the store, I just wouldn't get it. I would get some other book. And so it took me forever to actually read this book. And then I was talking to my sister-in-law, Bree. Shout out to Bree. This episode's basically for you. And she was like, Gabby, like, you need to read it. It's so good. And then I went into Barnes & Noble, and lo and behold, they finally had this book in stock. And if you go on Goodreads, Pickles, stop. If you go on Goodreads, this book has a 4-point-something rating, which is really good. So, again, you should go read it. So, first, I'm going to set the scene for you. Also, if you're watching the video of this, yes, I'm in my PJs. I have not showered, brushed my hair, brushed my teeth, or done anything yet except, eat breakfast, okay? So, to set the scene, I'm going to set the world. Even if the characters sucked in this book, which they don't, the freaking world building in this is, it's so good. It's so good. I'm obsessed with this universe. It's so fun. Okay, so you're in this world where they're in. The country is Itrea. Itrea is basically run as it's a very corrupt government, but it's got 3 main people in charge. So it's not quite a dictatorship, but it's very controlling. And, the rich stay rich and the poor stay poor. That, your typical book universe sort of deal. The country itself, Itrea, is very Italian-esque, and if you read I think it's in the acknowledgments or something in the book from the author, he is very much inspired by Rome and Venice, and so, like I said, it's Italian-esque. You have basically the Colosseum, which is cool. You don't see a lot of the fighting from the gladiators, which they're not called gladiators. They're called, I think it's gladiati. I don't really know. But you get more of that in the second book. But it's super cool. They describe the architecture and everything. And it's so cool. The capital city of Itrea is God's grave. And it's literally a grave from a god. And basically something long ago was huge, giant, and died there. And so there's the rib cage and the spinal cord and these giant bones left over. And they use these bones to be buildings or to make grave bone weapons. And so you'll get more of that in the book, but it's massive, obviously, if they're making buildings and houses out of the grave bones. I'm pretty sure it was typically the rich and the wealthy that lived in the grave bone areas, but I don't remember. So we have this awesome Italian-esque world, and then you get lots of history, and there's lots of I don't know how to say, like, references to different stories throughout the book. Like, for example, there was this great fighter called Caravaggio or something, and he was known for fighting with two swords, and that was his specialty. He was super good at it. So then when people fight with two swords, it's called Caravaggio, or, it's a reference. And so you get lots of back story and history and context through footnotes that the author does, which at first I did not like. It's a little heavy in the first 100 pages of the book. You get lots and lots of footnotes, which, as you probably know, in most like fictional novels, you don't get that. Footnotes are typically reserved for nonfiction, something you're studying. But getting these random side stories is super cool. And it's typically like the narrator is breaking the fourth wall a lot of times in these footnotes. And it's pretty funny. It's pretty good. And so that sets it aside. Sorry, just dying there. That sets it aside even more from other books. And so I think, and then I almost skipped over this. The whole reason the book is called Nevernight is because it's basically Nevernight, Okay, so they have 3 sons, which come from the story of the gods and the goddesses. I don't remember them, but you have like the main god, the father, which is the main son, and then you have he's married or was married to the goddess of the dark, goddess of blessed murder, which is who you'll find out a lot more about in the book. And then together they had 4 daughters, and so 2 of the sons are named after 2 of the daughters. I don't remember what they are. Anyway, so there's 3 sons that exist around this planet or country, whatever you want to say. And so with there being 3 sons, it's never night, obviously, and there's not always 3 suns out. It's usually 1 or 2. So so you have these periods of like 2.5 years where the sun never sets, but then after 2.5 years, you'll either have true dark or true light. True dark is when there's no suns and it's dark outside, obviously. And then true light is when all 3 suns are out. So, yeah, I think you understand. Anyways, now that we have set the scene, the main character that we're following is Mia Corvair, and Mia's family was all killed for rebelling. And so her father was it's called the Kingmaker Rebellion, and he was trying to put this other guy on the throne to be king over the country because, like I said, the government is corrupt. Well, he got caught, and so her father gets hanged. Her mother literally makes her watch her father being hanged, and then her mother and her younger brother, her brother was nursing at the time, are forced into the Philosopher's Stone, which is a tower where prisoners get locked away, and it's called the Philosopher's Stone because there's nothing there, and so all it's said that the prisoners can do is think and, philosophize. I don't know the proper verb for that, sorry, but so and then you have Mia, and Mia was like 10 or 11 at the time, and the consul, I'm pretty sure that's like the president, Consul Scava, was like, take the mom and the son to the Philosopher's Stone or the Philosopher's Tower, whatever it's called, and just go ahead and kill the girl and put her body in the river. And so as Mia is getting taken to the river, she fights her way out and escapes. And the soldiers that had her, the soldiers in this are like soldiers that believe in the sun god. and they are called the Illuminati. And so Mia kills one and then stabs the other in the eye, so she escapes. As she's doing that, she starts manipulating some little shadows, and that's where we find out that she is Darken. Darken is so people who are Darken can manipulate shadows. They're stronger in true dark and weaker in true light, obviously. And she can like make people's feet stick to the ground to like kind of trip them up. She can cloak herself in shadows, but when she does that, it makes it so she can't see. So people can't see her, but she can't see them either. And so I like this power of her being Darken because she's not like almighty. Oh, sorry, girl. She's not almighty. She's not all powerful. She has flaws, and like the power, it helps a little bit, but I wouldn't say it wins the fight for her. I mean, she learns to wield it so that it does help in winning the fights to come. We'll talk about that later, but she's not it. She still has skill. She still has to work for it, you know? So we have Mia, who's Darken, and part of being Darken is you usually have like a little companion, a little shadow companion, and she has this little shadow cat who she calls Mr. Kindly, and that is her best buddy. Another good thing about that is the shadow companion will eat your fears, and so she literally is never anxious or scared or anything, which makes her obviously stand out from other people, because when other people would be nervous about going to, assassinate someone, she's fine. She's like totally rocking and rolling, you know? And so we have Mia, we're following her. Well, she ends up, after she escapes from her murder attempt from, okay, so sorry. I'm totally not making any sense right now. I'm so sorry. Okay, so after Mia escapes, she is wandering the streets because obviously she can't go back to where she lived because she's supposed to be dead and the whole rest of her family is basically dead. And she's running around. She has this little brooch. It's very expensive. It's from the house of Corvair. She was higher up, obviously. She was like an elite in the society. She tries to sell the brooch to this man Mercurio. He doesn't take it. But, some other stuff happens, and Mercurio takes her in, and we learn that Mercurio is a Shaheed. Shaheeds are teachers of the Red Church. The Red Church is it's the church of the dark goddess. I don't remember her name. So sorry. I probably should have written it down, but I did not. So, like I said earlier, you have the main god, the sun god, and then he had his wife. I don't remember her name, but she's known as the Blessed Lady of Darkness and Murder, I think. I don't remember. They say it like 20,000 times in the book, so you'll get well acquainted with her. Anyways, she's the goddess of darkness, and so in this country where they worship the sun god, obviously, if you worship the other goddess, you're in big trouble. You're in, you're not doing well. And so they have the Red Church, which worships her, but it's very secret. No one knows where the Red Church is, and they're secret little assassins. And the church takes I don't know what they call them, if they call it offerings or just getting missions or jobs. But basically people, the elites, especially because the Red Church is so expensive, the elites in society will pay the Red Church to take out whoever they want to kill. Because that's what they do. The Red Church is a bunch of little assassins. And so Mia meets Mercurio, who is a Shaheed. So there's Shaheeds that are working inside the church, and then Shaheeds that are out in society. The Shaheeds that are out in society are quietly recruiting people to send to the Red Church to train and join the church. And so he becomes her Shaheed, takes care of her until she's old enough to go and adventure out into the Red Church. And so to get into the red church, you have to bring your tithe, and your tithe is the teeth of someone you killed. And so in the early part of the book, we are watching or reading, I guess, as Mia kills this person. I'm pretty sure it was the I don't know the name of this position. It was the person that like hung people or hanged people when they committed crimes. And so she kills him while he's sleeping and pulls out all his teeth. And so then we're following Mia as she is adventuring out of God's grave into, I forgot. I think it's Yasir. And she is trying to get to the Red Church. As we're heading to the Red Church, trying to find our way, we meet Trick, who is a Dwayne boy. Dwayne are super tall. They're known for they're kind of like, they're like the avatars of this world, okay? They're super tall. They have long dreadlocks, and they are one with nature, kind of. They're very much, they love the land and they love the water, and they're a very hardened people. Like, they're there to get a job done, and they're not really, I don't know how to describe it. You know, they're like, they're all business for the most part. But we meet Trick, and then Mia and Trick become homies, and then they start adventuring towards the Red Church together. Then we meet Nave on their way there. Nave is a hand of the Red Church, which I'll explain what that is in a second. But anyways, they make their way to the church, and that once they get to the church, they present their tithes. And then we start the process of initiation. Initiation kind of, now I don't want to compare it to like Divergent or Fourth Wing, where it's like the training period and you get eliminated. But it gives those vibes, you know. It's not like there's factions, like you have to choose your faction and then you can get kicked out or something. There's only one job there, like, or you're all applying for the same job, but you're competing for it. And so there's about 30 initiates, and only 4 will become blades. So in the Red Church, I'm going to explain the hierarchy. So in book 1, you have at the very top, the head of the church is the Lord of Blades, who is Lord Cassius, and you'll meet him. He kind of gives Rhysand vibes, but he's not Rhysand. I just say that because he's dark and broody, you know. And then under that, you have the Revered Mother, who is Drusilla, and she's like a little sweet old grandmother, but also she's a very highly trained assassin. I kind of love that for her. Under that, you have the Shaheeds. The Shaheeds, like I said, if they're in the church, are teachers. If they're out the church, they're basically recruiters. And so in the church, you have 4 Shaheeds, and they are over the Hall of Songs, the Hall of Pockets, the Hall of Masks, and the Hall of Truths. And these are like the different sectors of what you need to learn to be an assassin. Okay, so like the Hall of Songs is over fighting, Hall of Pockets is about thieving, Hall of Mask is seduction, and Hall of Truths is about poison. Now, I am obsessed with the Hall of Songs not because I like Solus, who is the Shaheed. He's a not good person. He's very temperamental and has lots of anger issues, but he is a cool character. But I like the language in this book and the way they talk. It's kind of medieval-esque and very like poetic. And so in the Hall of Songs, which is about fighting, on the first day, Shaheed Solus is asking, which also I don't know if I'm saying the word right, Shaheed. Hopefully I am. I might sound dumb, but he's asking who can hold a tune, and then the initiates who are wanting to spar with him are like, oh, I can hold a tune, I can play a chorus or whatever. And just the way they talk about it it's so poetic. I don't know why I love it so much, but I am a fan. So we have the Shaheeds, and then under that, or kind of on the same level of the Shaheeds, are the actual Blades. All Shaheeds are Blades, or once were Blades. They could still currently be Blades. Blades are the ones who are actually committing the main assassination of whoever they're going to murder. And then you have the Hands, who help the Blades, and so they're like the assistants. Now, Hands can actually like kill people. So say the blade is assigned to kill the king. Well, if on the way to killing the king they have some issues, it's totally okay for the Hand to help out, and they might kill like 3 people that are going after the assassin in the fight, while the assassin is trying to go take out the king. Okay, so the Hands still kill people, but it's not counted as I can't remember the word they use, but they do, the way they count kills, it's not just everyone you kill is counted. It's only the kills that are like ordained by the church that are counted as your kills. If that makes sense, I don't know. So, now that I just explained the, whole thing, so when you're going through initiation, only 4 initiates will become Blades, and if you don't make it as a Blade, you become a Hand. So, anyways, we follow Mia through initiation, and people are dropping, or they get in trouble and they get punished, blah, blah, blah. You should definitely read the book. I don't want to say really too much about initiation because a lot happens, and you might be thinking, oh, it's so obvious. Like, it's a book. I know the way it's going to end. Whoever's going to make it, blah, blah, blah. You're wrong. You're wrong. It's not like that. There are plot twists, and I'm telling you, you are wrong. Whatever you're thinking, you're wrong, girl, because that's not what's going to happen. So, as I start to jump into the rest, now is the time that I'm going into spoilers, okay? I'm about to expose all that happens. So if you're going to read this book, or you want to read this book, you need to pause, you need to stop listening, or it's going to get spoiled for you, okay, girl? So here's your moment. Okay, if you didn't jump off, that's your fault. And now we're getting into spoilers, okay? So we're going through initiation. And the way you become a Blade is that you win whatever competition it is for the 4 different halls, okay? And so I think it was Hush won the Hall of, Hall of Pockets. Trick won the Hall of Songs. Ashlyn won the Hall of Mask. And Mia won the Hall of Truths, which is Poisons. And so the final step that takes to become a Blade once you've won your hall is that you have to kill an innocent, and because you have to show that you're devoted to the church and you're going to obey orders. Mia refuses to do it, and so she totally rejects being a Blade, and she leaves the church because she's like, I think when it happened, she basically came to the conclusion that the reason that I'm here to become an assassin to avenge my family is not worth more than this innocent's life. And so I'm not going to do it. So she ends up leaving the church, and throughout when she was in initiation, all these like subtle ghetto things, not ghetto, that's not the right word. These like little issues kept happening. She was framed for stuff and she couldn't figure out who. Well, once she leaves the church, it clicks that it's Ashlyn. Ashlyn has been causing all of these mother trucking problems, and so she realizes something's off, and so she goes back to the church, and lo and behold, Ashlyn betrayed the church. Ugh. Okay, this was rough. I know I didn't talk about Ashlyn much, But I was a fan. I was a fan of Ashlyn. And then she betrayed the church. So then Mia has to freaking sneak her way back in so she can go save the church because Ashlyn poisoned basically all the leaders and the Blades. Because when you become a Blade, they do this big ceremony and all the big higher ups are there. And Ashlyn poisoned the food, so they're all gonna pass out and get taken. And she coordinated with the Illuminati, remember, Oz soldiers. And so they're going to overtake the church. She exposed all the locations of the church and their little, like, off, what's the word? What's it called when a church has like another like offshoot? I don't remember. Just all the locations that they have all over the country. Ashlyn exposed them, and so the Illuminati is going and taking over all of them at the same time. So Mia freaking goes back into the church after she becomes rejected as a Blade for not killing the innocent. And she goes to freaking save all of them, which I love. And she has the most epic fight scene for like 100 pages, people. It's amazing. It's absolutely stunning. You need to read it. You'll be obsessed. And I'm still obsessed. And I finished reading this book like a month ago. Okay? She goes in. She does this thing, it's called the blood walk, and basically there's a bunch of blood in these pools in 2 different places. There's one in God's grave and the one at the main red church, which is like hundreds and hundreds of miles away. And there's I think Lord Marius, and Marius is I forgot the term for it, but he can manipulate things related to blood. And so when he's stirring these waters, which the Illuminati are using to get in because they're holding Marius hostage, they can blood walk from God's grave, the capital city where most of the Illuminati are, into the main red church. And so, like 200 men have blood walked into the red church. So Mia sneaks her little self through and then starts killing. And it's freaking fabulous. Let me tell you, she kills on the start of like her way of making it into the church and then sneaking her way to where the leaders are. She kills like 40 guys. And then maybe it was more than that. She kills like 40 to 50 guys in the church. And then they realize that majority of the Illuminati have already started escaping with the drugged and bound up leaders of the red church. And they start escaping through the desert. And Mia freaking goes after them, and then she starts. Sand krakens are these fantastical beasts. I'm obsessed with them. It's like a sand octopus, okay? You know what a kraken is. And they live in the sand, and it's crazy. They'll like rumble and then like pop up and start attacking people, and they can't see, and so they use sound to know where you're at and vibration, whatever. So Mia starts purposely making sounds and stuff to attract the sand krakens, so start taking them out. And then she starts fighting people, and it's freaking fabulous. Oh my gosh. And then so she kills a bunch more, and then the Illuminati, the freaking like 50 to 100 that are left with the leaders, finally get to some town where they're waiting at the port for a boat to come in sometime within the next week. Mia is planning during this week how to take them out, and literally like she's just freaking annihilating them, and it's so freaking fabulous. I cannot tell you like how good these fight scenes are. They are some of the best fight scenes I've ever seen. They gave me chills, okay? And literally like almost all fiction books nowadays, all fantasy books, there's some war for the better of the world, you know. It's like evil versus good. It's like, oh, I'm just some wee little girl rising through the ranks of this magical society, and then I realize the government's corrupt, and then I'm like, oh, well, I can't take over the government, I can't do that, but then they start rebelling, and then they take over the government, okay? So then there's always these big war scenes, right? And this happens with so many fantasy books, and so I've read a lot of fight scenes. Let me tell you, 99% do not compare. They do not. Okay, this book, the last 100 pages, it's 400 pages long. Last at least 100. Amazing. Absolutely stunning and perfect. I would not change a thing, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the one thing that I'm a little sad about is my boy Trick. Trick, who we love, who we are obsessed with throughout this first book, he dies. Literally, Ashlyn kills him. Oh my gosh, when I tell you that I was so upset, I almost didn't even believe it because of how fast it happened, and then we literally never come back to Trick. He's dead. He's dead, guys. I'm upset. And yeah, I'm recovering, okay? And then we're with Mia as she's fighting for everyone's lives. She saves all the Shaheeds and the Blades and whatever, and Lord Cassius. Well, Lord Cassius and her are fighting side by side, and Lord Cassius also happens to be darkened. And then, as they're fighting, something happens, and the Illuminati actually kill Lord Cassius. And so anything he knew about the Darken, which he is the only other Darken Mia has ever met, anything he knew dies with him after he told Mia that he was willing to tell her and that he made her a blade. Whether she passed one little rite or not, he ordains it and says in front of everyone that she's a blade, which makes sense because she just literally saved everyone. But he freaking dies, and it's so suddenly. So you're thinking, oh, in the next book, we're going to get so much information. We're going to get this good relationship from Lord Cassius. Lord Cassius is described basically as every girl's favorite character in all the fantasy novels, because he is tall, he's muscular, he's got dark hair, he's good looking. And so I know everyone reading this was probably like, ooh, Lord Cassius, who are you? And then he dies. He literally dies. We just got a little teaser. If you read the author's note at the end of the book, it literally says that Kristoff does not believe in happy endings. So let that set the scene for you. And after reading God's Grave, I'm not going to go into it this episode, but I'm quite confident that Mia is going to die at the end of this trilogy, and so that's why I've kind of been putting off reading the last book, because I know I'm going to get absolutely torn apart. I'm not for sure, but I'm pretty confident she's gonna die. They've made there's just 2 sentences made in Nevernight and in God's Grave that kind of allude to the fact that Mia's gonna die in the end. So that's kind of a bummer. But yeah. So, I freaking love this book, okay? The characters, fabulous. Love them. They're different. They're unique. They have flaws, and they have their not flaws. I don't know. I can't think of the word. What's the word for flaws? I don't know. Good traits? Good personality? I don't know. But they're not perfect, basically. That's what I'm trying to get at, is the characters are not perfect, which is what I love. And then we have the plot. The plot itself, freaking fabulous. Absolutely stunning. So interesting. I was in love. And then you get to the end of the book and the plot twist. Yeah, girl. Yeah, girl. I'm here for the plot twist. And lastly, the world building overall, you're going to fall in love. You're going to want to, take a little vacation to Itrea, even if they have a corrupt government, because of how fabulous it is. The only one thing that I will say, this is literally the only problem I have with this book, besides when I started reading this book, I had to get used to the footnotes, and so we also start off with memories and then jumping to current time, and you go back and forth for a little bit. It's not like that the entire book. I'm personally not a fan of that. And so it made it so it took me a little longer to get into the book, but it was worth it. Trust me. And so, besides like kind of having to slowly work my way in, the one thing that I have is that Mia in this book is 16, and there's some inappropriate scenes, if you know what I'm talking about. A little spice scenes, which, girl, I do not want any scenes like that from a minor. Absolutely not. However, this is what I did. Okay, first of all, you can kind of chalk it up to this medieval society that they have and the times, which makes sense. And you just pretend in your head that they're older, or you just skip over the scene itself. So that was one thing. Not a fan of that. It's a little weird. But besides that, it's good. So, anyways, that is all I have to say on this. Sorry if I missed anything. Sorry if I was not coherent. This is the second time filming this episode. Literally last Friday, I filmed this podcast about Nevernight, and I did not like how it turned out. I was even less put together than I was today, okay? And I have 4 pages in my notebook trying to help me be more coherent, and I don't even know if it worked. So, apologies for that, for not posting for the past 2 weeks. And if you're watching this video, I also look like a bum, so please ignore that. I'm also like a little hunchback of Notre Dame right now because my posture is atrocious. Anyways, I hope you have a fabulous day. I hope you're doing great, and that if you're my family or my friends that really none of my family or friends watch the book episodes, but the one person that I'm going to call out is Brie, because Brie can watch the book episodes because she actually does read the same books as me. And Brie, if you're watching this, I love you and I miss you, and if we lived closer, we would totally be even better besties and hanging out all the time. Okay, that's it. Thanks. Love you. Bye.